So, at the beginning of this story, we see a man named Jeff on his boat. He, along with his companions, catches snakes and sells them as part of their business. This time, they were heading to a dangerous place known to be cursed, where the world's largest and most dangerous anaconda, the crimson anaconda, was believed to live. This snake could easily prey on anything, even other anacondas. When they arrive, Jeff's captain companion demands more money because the place was extremely dangerous, and neither he nor his boat was safe. Jeff pulls out the money and hands it to him, but the money accidentally falls to the ground. As the captain bends to pick it up, Jeff suddenly stabs him in the neck with a knife, killing him. Jeff then beheads the captain and throws his head into the river as if he were baiting someone. His other companions witness this, and Jeff declares that he hates traitors. They continue deeper into the jungle, where they come across a statue with many snakes carved on it. Seeing this, Jeff says, "So, the story of the crimson anaconda was true." Meanwhile, Jeff's companions find many snakes and become overjoyed, quickly filling their bags with them. Jeff, however, goes off with his gun, searching for the large crimson anaconda. When one of the companions returns to the boat to store the bags full of snakes, he sees their captain's headless body standing in the water. He can't believe his eyes, and suddenly the body sinks back into the water. Something large begins to swim towards him, and terrified, he runs into the jungle. But his efforts are in vain, as a large anaconda wraps itself around him, breaking his bones and preparing to devour him. In the next scene, another companion is shown in the jungle, startled by something. He had seen the body of the large anaconda moving. As the anaconda climbs a tree, it's clear from its swollen belly that it had swallowed a human. Before the man can run for his life, his companion's corpse, covered in some strange liquid, suddenly dangles in front of him. The snake had regurgitated the body, and now it attacks this man, crushing his bones and beginning to eat him. Jeff, standing at a distance, watches this entire scene and seems pleased instead of saving his companions. He stands as if everything is going according to his plan. In reality, he wants to capture the crimson anaconda, so he prepares to shoot it with his shotgun to knock it out. But suddenly, all the animals in the jungle start making noise, and the sound scares the anaconda away. The scene then shifts to a man named Belling. Belling works in a circus with his companions, but after the circus shuts down, he buys all the artists from the owner because he wants to take them to Thailand and start a new circus there. They plan to travel to Thailand by river, but their way is blocked by a wooden container. Their captain suggests taking a different route, but Belling, desperate to reach Thailand on time for their scheduled show, for which he has already received an advance payment, threatens the captain. In response, the captain suggests using dynamite to blow up the container without realizing the danger this might bring. They blow up the containers, clearing their path, but suddenly a rain of snakes falls onto their ship because the containers were filled with snakes. Terrified, everyone tries to hide, but many are surrounded by the snakes. Their companion, Lon, cleverly uses a pressure pipe to push all the snakes off the ship, but suddenly, the ceiling of the bathroom collapses, and a swarm of snakes falls onto another companion who was hiding inside. To escape them, he jumps into the river and swims to shore, only to be confronted by a king cobra. Just as the cobra is about to strike, someone steps on it, crushing it. This person is Jeff, who saves Belling's life. Belling brings Jeff onto his ship, where Jeff explains that he is a wild explorer and got stranded in the jungle after an accident. Suddenly, one of their companions grabs his ear and starts screaming in pain. Jeff examines his ear closely, pricks his finger, and brings it close to the man's ear. A baby snake suddenly emerges from the ear and bites Jeff's hand, but the bite has no effect on Jeff. He simply throws the snake into the water. Lon, who notices this, is suspicious. Being a snake expert herself, she knows that for someone to be immune to snake venom, they must have injected a large amount of venom into their body over time. She shares her concerns with Belling, saying she doesn't trust Jeff. Meanwhile, Jeff meets with the captain of the boat and wants him to take the boat to a specific location on the map. Upon hearing this, the captain pulls out his gun, points it at Jeff, and warns him never to suggest going there again, as the place is cursed. The captain knows about the crimson anaconda. Jeff walks away for now, but as soon as he leaves, we see the captain's fishing rod suddenly being pulled strongly by something underwater, causing the captain to fall into the water. This was a trap set by Jeff to capture the captain, who was now being used as bait for the anaconda. Lane knew that this had to be Jeff's doing. She asked Jeff where the captain was, but Jeff brushed off her concerns, saying that this was the jungle, and people disappearing here was common. Suddenly, they all heard a disturbance in the water. They asked what the sound was, and Jeff informed them that something very large was approaching. It was revealed that a giant anaconda was heading toward Jeff's trap in the depths of the river. Jeff's fishing rod was pulled downward, and as he began to reel it in, the massive, terrifying anaconda appeared before them for just a few seconds, scaring everyone. The anaconda, using the rope from Jeff's fishing rod, dragged Jeff underwater. The snake thrashed Jeff around, but he wasn't ready to give up. He swam to a small boat in the river, where he had tied the fishing rod, and then, to save himself, he attacked the anaconda with a sharp rod. The attack didn't kill the anaconda, but it did injure and enrage it. In its fury, the anaconda lifted the small boat and carried it to the riverbank. Then, in a split second, it wrapped Jeff and the boat in its coils. The crew, watching from a distance, thought Jeff was dead, but the next moment, Jeff emerged swimming toward their ship. They were all astonished, but Jeff was now focused on finding the anaconda underwater. He didn't realize that the anaconda was right behind him, on the roof of his ship. The snake suddenly regurgitated the captain's body in front of them. The people, terrified by the sight of the captain's corpse, ran and hid in a bathroom, but the anaconda quickly pursued them, trying to kill them. They barely managed to shut the door, keeping the anaconda out, and from outside, Jeff attacked the snake again with a sharp weapon. This enraged the anaconda further, causing it to charge at Jeff. Jeff momentarily disappeared from the snake's sight, prompting it to enter the ship in search of him, where it couldn't find the hidden Bling and his companion. Lane was hiding in the ship's control room with a gun when she saw the giant anaconda passing outside her window. The anaconda then descended from the roof and attacked the two remaining companions through the bathroom window. The child, trying to save himself, ran to Lane, with the anaconda in pursuit. To save the child, Lane fled, and in the chaos, a lot of kerosene spilled. As the anaconda was about to attack them through the window, another companion shoved a pot into the snake's mouth. Struggling to free itself, the anaconda thrashed on the ship's roof, but before it could break the pot, Jeff arrived and tied the snake's mouth with a rope noose. However, before he could capture the anaconda, a fire broke out in the ship's control room, which soon reached the dynamite. A massive explosion followed, forcing everyone to jump into the water to save their lives. The anaconda was killed in the explosion. Seeing the burning ship, Belling began to cry, worried that they wouldn't reach Thailand in time. His smaller companion reminded him that they had just survived the giant anaconda and that they were alive, which should be enough for him. Lane had now realized that everything was happening because of Jeff. He had used their ship as bait. She told Jeff that if he hadn't done this, they wouldn't have faced such a huge danger. Jeff replied that they had no idea how valuable that anaconda was. If they had helped him capture it, they would all be millionaires by now. Greedy for money, Belling immediately sided with Jeff, forgetting all about going to Thailand. He asked Jeff how they could capture the anaconda and where they would need to go. After hearing their questions, Jeff pulled out his map, showed them, and said that if they helped him, he would get them to Thailand in 2 days. Belling was ready to go with Jeff, but his companions didn't trust him. Additionally, one of Belling's companions was sick from a dangerous insect bite and could die from the poison. Jeff claimed to have medicine on his boat that could cure her, but they would have to take him to his ship. Reluctantly, they agreed to help Jeff. Since they no longer had a boat, they proceeded on foot. As they moved forward, Jeff warned them not to drink the water there, as it contained insects that would enter the human body, causing an unquenchable thirst that would lead the person to drown themselves in the water. As night fell, they took shelter in a cave where they lit a fire, and Jeff, sitting aside, was looking at an anaconda on his map. The scene then flashed back to show how Jeff had previously encountered that giant mutated anaconda. The anaconda was about to kill Jeff, but he cleverly locked himself in a wooden container, escaping the snake's sight. The scene shifted back to the present, where Jeff was still looking at the map. Belling approached him and asked if he really intended to capture that anaconda. Jeff replied affirmatively, explaining that this was a mutated anaconda, the king of anacondas, which had hunted many large prey, including other anacondas. Jeff said that if they managed to capture it, they wouldn't have to work for generations. Greedy for the reward, Belling agreed to help Jeff. That night, as everyone was asleep, one of Belling's companions suddenly woke up and saw that they were surrounded by large anacondas. Panicking, he realized it was just a dream, as there were no anacondas around. But then he noticed that his brother was missing. He rushed outside the cave and found his brother drowning himself in the river. When he reached him, he saw poisonous insects crawling out of his brother's nose, just as Jeff had warned them. The boy tried to wake his brother, but he died from the insect's poison. The boy cried, but there was nothing he could do. The next morning, they resumed their journey. As they moved through the jungle, they reached a point where they had no choice but to enter the river to continue. No one wanted to go into the water after all the dangers they had faced, but they had no other option. As they reluctantly entered the river, one of the boys pointed out that a large anaconda had surrounded them. The boy whose brother had died the previous night started praying in fear, but the saying goes, the one who is afraid dies. He didn't realize that the anaconda was. The anaconda suddenly grabs him and starts swallowing him mercilessly. Lynn tries to help, but she can't do much because the anaconda has already broken his bones. The anaconda strangles him to death, and everyone else just stands there watching the spectacle. The anaconda disappears into the water with the man's dead body, and the others move forward to escape from it. After some time, they finally reach Jeff's boat, where, upon arrival, Jeff gives them the medicine they need to treat their injuries. They were very close to the land of Thailand. One of their companions says, "Let's quickly get out of here," but Jeff tells everyone, "Not so fast. I have brought you all here safely as promised, but now you must fulfill your part of the deal. You have to help me." The young boy tells Jeff, "If your help involves that anaconda, then forget it. We're not going to help you." Hearing this, Jeff pulls out his gun, and Bail Yong also shows them his knife because he has now joined Jeff. He tells everyone, "Hurry up and do what Jeff says." Lin says, "Are you all crazy? Catching that huge anaconda is impossible." Jeff responds, "Yes, you're right, but not entirely. The anaconda can be caught while it is feeding." Saying this, Bail Yong and Jeff tie up two of their companions with ropes and hang them over their trap as bait for the anaconda. The young boy asks Bail Yong, "Why are you doing this? If we die, who will perform in your circus?" Hearing this, Bail Yong laughs like a madman and says, "What did you think? I was taking you to Thailand for the circus? Fools. I was taking you there to sell your organs and make a lot of money. But now, I've changed my plan and joined Jeff because I know this anaconda can give me more money than you." Meanwhile, on the other side, Jeff was setting up a trap for the anaconda and had also tied two girls to a tree. After that, he began to harass one of the girls, but she was smart. She didn't resist. Instead, she tricked him, took his gun from his pocket, and tried to shoot him. But her bad luck, the gun didn't fire, and now she was in Jeff's grip. Before Jeff could kill her, her other companion, Nalon, stabbed Jeff from behind with her knife. Jeff pushes Lin away from him with his arm, but the other companion tries to grab Jeff's gun while Lin, without losing her strength, climbs on top of Jeff and tries to strangle him. In the chaos, a shot is fired. The scene cuts to the two people whom Jeff had set up as bait for the anaconda. A large anaconda was now approaching them to eat them, and Bail Yong was standing far away, watching the whole spectacle with his own eyes. Bail Yong was holding the rope to their trap, but he didn't know that while he was watching others die, his own death was standing right behind him. Another large anaconda was sitting there, eyeing him. Before Bail Yong realized it, the anaconda suddenly attacked him from above and lifted him off the ground. In the process, the rope in his hand slipped, and the trap lifted the two people up, saving them from the anaconda. Enraged, Jeff tried to kill the girl, but this time Lin showed her bravery and struck Jeff on the head with a large piece of wood, knocking him out. As soon as Jeff was unconscious, the two ran to their companions, freed them from the trap, and set them free. But their bad luck, Jeff regained consciousness. Seeing this, they were terrified, but their luck finally favored them. A large anaconda came and took Jeff away. They all saved their lives and headed towards Jeff's boat, hoping to escape from there. But Len's companion was in bad shape because Jeff's gunshot had hit him, and right there in front of their eyes, he took his last breath. The remaining people hurried to the boat and tried to start it, but the boat was damaged. Suddenly, one of their companions was shot from behind. He removed the bullet from his neck and saw that it was a shotgun, meaning it was a tranquilizer dart, which had knocked him out. The person who tranquilized him was none other than Jeff, who had survived the anaconda attack and was still alive. He had killed the anaconda by cutting off its head. Once again, Jeff tied all three of them up as bait for the anaconda, placing them amidst sharp iron wires. Then, he grabbed the rope of their trap and stood far away. Soon, many anacondas arrived to attack the three of them. They thought they were going to die and wouldn't survive. But once again, their luck saved them as all the anacondas saw something and retreated. They had actually seen a huge anaconda that frightened them away. This anaconda, with its massive mouth open, was ready to eat them. But before it could attack them, something attacked it. This was Crimson Anaconda, the king, the one Jeff had been searching for. It was 10 times bigger than the other anacondas. Crimson Anaconda slowly trapped all three of them and was about to eat them when Jeff let go of the rope and captured it in his trap. Crimson Anaconda thrashed about, trying to free itself, but when it couldn't, it bit through the trap and escaped into the jungle. Jeff tried hard to trap it again but failed. In all these attempts, foolish Jeff got himself stuck in a tree. Before he could escape, Crimson Anaconda wrapped itself around the tree and Jeff. Seeing this anaconda, the people standing nearby were terrified. They couldn't do anything to save themselves, but the smart young boy used his wits and started biting the rope to break it. Somehow, he hoped to survive. He bit the rope so hard that his mouth started bleeding. At one point, Jeff almost managed to escape from Crimson Anaconda's grasp, but before he could run away, Crimson Anaconda caught him with its tail, pulled him close, and tightened its grip around his neck until Jeff's bones started breaking. Then, the anaconda swallowed Jeff whole. After Jeff's death, the three of them managed to break free from the rope. Crimson Anaconda, now free, approached them to kill them. They reached a wooden container. The young boy, trying to save his life, entered the container, and the anaconda followed him. But the door on the other side of the container was tightly shut. The boy was trying to break the door, and time was running out as the anaconda approached him quickly. Before the anaconda could eat the boy, the door on the other side was opened just in time, and the boy managed to escape. The others ran forward, knowing that they might not survive. But once again, their luck saved them. They didn't realize they were in the part of the jungle where Jeff had set up sharp wires. The anaconda's head got cut off by those wires. Looking back, they saw the anaconda and couldn't believe they had survived. They were sure the anaconda was dead. They were relieved but couldn't take any more risks and quickly escaped to save their lives. The story ends with the revelation that the Crimson Anaconda didn't actually die. As Jeff had mentioned earlier, it was a mutated anaconda, and it had regenerated its head. The anaconda had come back to life, and the story concludes with this twist.